The sun was cruel, it burned the dry land with no mercy. The wind was hot and sharp, blowing sand into the empty sky. Nothing moved except a few dark vultures flying in circles. They were waiting in the middle of this lonely desert, an alien. Woman lay on the cracked ground. Her skin was dry, covered in dust and old bruises. Her eyes were closed, lips cracked, arms thin and weak. She looked dead, but she wasn't. Her chest moved slowly, a weak breath. Her body wanted to live, even. If her mind had given up, she didn't know how long she had been there. Maybe 1 day. Maybe 3. Time didn't matter anymore. Her name was Vila. She had been thrown out of a vehicle by her own family. Left in the desert like trash. You are useless, they had told her. You bring shame. You cannot bear children. You're broken. They had left her with nothing. No food, no water, not even clothes to cover herself properly. Only a thin, torn robe and a few small cuts from the road. The last thing she remembered was the sound of the engine driving away. And the laughter of her cousin. Cold, cruel laughter. Now only the vultures were near her. They landed, walked closer, and stared at her face. One of them opened its wings. Another stepped forward and poked her leg with its beak. Her body didn't move, but deep inside, something still burned. Not anger, not hate. It was something even more powerful. Hope. Suddenly, a sound. Far away. It wasn't wind. It wasn't wings. It was a vehicle. Dust rose in the distance. A small ground transport, old but still working, rolled over the sand with effort. The engine made a tired growl. Inside, a human man sat alone. His name was Ryan, a trader, a wanderer. A man who traveled across forgotten lands, looking for broken tech and lost things. He wasn't expecting to find a body. As he drove closer, his eyes narrowed. He hit the brakes and stepped out of the vehicle. The heat hit him hard, but he ignored it. He saw her lying there. A woman alien by the shape of her ears and the deep purple color of her skin. She looked dead. Her clothes were torn. Her body looked fragile. He frowned. Poor soul, he said to himself. Left for the vultures. He turned to leave. He didn't want trouble. This wasn't his problem. But then, something moved, her finger, just a small twitch, almost too small to see. But Ryan saw it. He froze. Wait. He stepped closer. Her chest moved again, just barely. She was alive. Damn, he whispered. She's still breathing. He looked around. No one. Just sky and sand and bones. He knelt beside her and gently turned her face. Her eyelids didn't open, but her lips moved slightly. She was trying to speak, but no sound came out. She needed help. Now Ryan didn't think twice. He pulled a water flask from his belt and touched it to her mouth. A drop of water touched her lips, and she moved just a little more. That's it. Stay with me, Ryan said softly. He picked her up carefully. She was light, too light. He could feel every bone under her skin. She had almost no strength left, carrying her to his transport. He placed her in the passenger seat and shaded her with a blanket. He gave her another sip of water. Then he started the engine again. The vultures screamed as they flew above, angry that their meal was taken. As the vehicle moved across the sand, Ryan glanced at the woman beside him. Who left you out here? He asked, but she didn't reply. He looked forward. Doesn't matter. I got you now. The sun was still cruel. The desert was still deadly. But now she wasn't alone. And for the first time in days, Vila was safe, even if she didn't know it yet. Vila felt warmth, but not from the sun. Was different, softer, safer. She was no longer lying in the dirt. No wind burned her skin. No vultures circled above. Her body still hurt, but something strange wrapped around her clean cloth. A blanket? Her mind floated between sleep and waking. She heard a low sound, like a soft machine, a gentle hum, and then Footsteps, slow, steady, heavy. They stopped near her. Her eyes opened suddenly, just a little. Everything was blurry. Light hit her face. She blinked. The ceiling was metal. The walls. Human tech? She panicked that her heart raced. Her breath became short. She tried to sit up, but her arms failed her. Then, she saw him, a figure, tall, broad, human. Her heart nearly stopped. Was this a trap? Another cruel trick? Was she taken by slavers? Was he one of the men who laughed while her family cast her out? Her voice was dry, but a weak sound came out. Please, no more. The human froze. He turned slowly and raised both hands, showing. He had no weapons. It's okay, he said in a calm voice. I won't hurt you. She didn't believe him. She pulled the blanket up, trembling. Her eyes searched the room for a way out. But her legs still wouldn't move. She was trapped. Again, the man didn't step closer. Instead, he reached behind him and pulled out a small box. He pressed a button. A soft steam rose from it. Food. The smell hit her nose, warm, real food. Her stomach twisted painfully. He placed the box on a table beside her bed and walked away. Eat when you're ready. She didn't move. He sat down on a chair across the room and started working on a small device, giving her space. For a long time, she just stared at the food. Then, at him. Then at the door. Silence. Minutes passed. Her hunger won. She pulled the box closer with shaky fingers and took a bite. Tears filled her eyes. She hadn't tasted real food in days, maybe weeks. Her body wanted to cry and eat at the same time. Man looked up. You need rest, he said. You were nearly gone when I found you. Vila swallowed the food and stared at him. Why? She whispered. Why did you stop? Why save me? He leaned back and rubbed his jaw. Because someone had to, he said simply. She shook her head slowly. No one ever helps the broken, she said. Not on my world. He looked at her, quiet for a moment. Well, maybe it's time your world learns something new. She didn't answer. Her body still ached. Her trust was still buried deep. But something about this human's eyes was different. He didn't look at her like trash. He didn't stare at her like an object. He looked at her like a person. Vila blinked hard and turned her face away. She didn't want him to see her tears, but he already had. She woke up screaming. It wasn't a normal scream. It was a scream from the soul, wild, lost, full of fear. Ryan dropped his mug. It shattered on the floor. He rushed into the room. Vila sat up in the bed, her hands shaking, her eyes wide with panic. She clawed at the blanket, her breath coming in short gasps. Sweat covered her face. She didn't see the room. She didn't see Ryan. She was somewhere else. Don't take me back. She cried out in her native language. Please, not again. Ryan didn't understand the words, but he understood fear. Hey, it's okay, he said gently. You're safe now. No one's here but me. But she couldn't hear him. Her mind was still trapped in memories of being dragged by her family, of being called a failure, of being tossed out like garbage. Cold hands, cruel voices, and the smell of burning sand haunted her even in safety. She saw Ryan, and for a second, he looked like one of them. She tried to crawl away, falling off the bed and landing hard on her shoulder. Stop! She yelled, her voice cracking. Don't touch me. Ryan froze. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stood still. And slowly knelt down. Then he did something she didn't expect. He pushed his hands forward, palms down, and gently laid his forehead to the floor. A gesture of surrender. I'm not your enemy, he said softly. You're in my shelter. No one's going to hurt you here. Vila blinked. Her shaking slowed. She stared at him, this strange human, bowing like a servant or a friend. She crawled back, pressing her back to the wall. Her voice was quiet now, confused. You not hurt me? Ryan shook his head slowly. Never. The silence between them was heavy, She watched him carefully, every breath, every move. Then for the first time, she believed him. A tear rolled down her cheek. "Why?" she asked. Ryan looked at her. "No one deserves to be left behind," he said. "Not even an enemy, and you're not my enemy." She pulled the blanket closer, hugging it like a shield. Her body still remembered pain, but her heart, it felt something strange. Not fear, not hate. Hope. For the first time, Vila didn't feel like prey. She felt like a person again. She looked at Ryan through tired, swollen eyes and whispered, "I don't even know your name." He smiled gently. "Ryan," he said. She nodded just once. "Vila." They sat in silence again, alien and human, both survivors of cruel worlds. And even though the pain hadn't ended, something had started, something small, something powerful. She stared at her own hands for a long time. They were thin, trembling, like they didn't belong to her anymore. Ryan had gone quiet. He sat nearby, fixing the cracked screen on a salvaged cum device, pretending not to watch her, but he was. She knew. "Ryan," she said at last, her voice like dry leaves. "Do you want to know the truth?" He stopped working, slowly turned to face her. "I want to know you," he said. "Only if you're ready." She looked away. A full minute passed. Then she spoke, and every word was like a drop of blood. "I was born broken," she said. "That's what my people believe. I can't have children. And on my world, a female who cannot give life is not worth keeping alive." Ryan blinked. He didn't interrupt. "My father hid it at first. Said I was just late to maturity. But when I reached age and still showed no signs, they tested me, quietly." Her voice dropped lower. "The test came back infertile, that word. It killed my mother inside. My uncle called me a shame. My cousins avoided me like disease." Ryan clenched his fists. "They said I was a drain, a future problem, unmarriable, useless. One day they said we were going on a journey to the desert. I trusted them." She gave a hollow laugh. "I was so excited." Ryan's face turned cold. His jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. "They threw me out of the vehicle and drove away. My sister even said, 'Don't let the vultures wait too long,' and they laughed." Tears rolled down her cheeks now. She wiped them away quickly, ashamed. "I screamed, I begged. I ran after them until I fell. My legs gave out. And I just waited to die." Ryan stood slowly and walked to her. He sat beside her, close enough to comfort, far enough not to startle her. "I'm so sorry," he said quietly. She shook her head. "It wasn't your fault. But it still hurts me," he said. She looked up at him. No one had ever said that before. "Why?" she whispered. "I'm not your kind. I'm not even whole." Ryan answered without pause. "You're alive. That's all I need." She didn't speak. She just stared at him, like she was trying to decide if this man was real. Then, slowly, her body relaxed. Her shoulders dropped. Her hands stopped shaking. "Ryan," she said. Double quotes, "Yes. You were the first face I saw. After death forgot me." He gave a small smile. "Then I guess I stole you from the vultures." She smiled too, weak but real. And in that moment, her truth wasn't a curse anymore. Because someone finally saw her, not as broken, but as worth saving. She stared at her own hands for a long time. They were thin, trembling, like they didn't belong to her anymore. Ryan had gone quiet. He sat nearby, fixing a cracked screen on a salvaged cum device, pretending not to watch her, but he was. She knew. "Ryan," she said at last, her voice like dry leaves. "Do you want to know the truth?" He stopped working, slowly turned to face her. "I want to know you," he said. "Only if you're ready." She looked away. A full minute passed. Then she spoke, and every word was like a drop of blood. "I was born broken," she said. "That's what my people believe. I can't have children. And on my world, a female who cannot give life is not worth keeping alive. Ryan blinked. He didn't interrupt. My father hit it at first. Sighed I was just late to maturity. But when I reached age and still showed no signs, they tested me, quietly. Her voice dropped lower. The test came back infertile, that word. It killed my mother inside. My uncle called me a shame. My cousins avoided me like disease. Ryan clenched his fists. They said I was a drain, a future problem, unmarriable, useless. One day, they said we were going on a journey to the desert. I trusted them. She gave a hollow laugh. I was so excited. Ryan's face turned cold. His jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. They threw me out of the vehicle and drove away. My sister even said, "Don't let the vultures wait too long," and they laughed. Tears rolled down her cheeks now. She wiped them away quickly, ashamed. I screamed. I begged. I ran after them until I fell. My legs gave out, and I just waited to die. Ryan stood slowly and walked to her. He sat beside her close enough to comfort, far enough not to startle her. "I'm so sorry," he said quietly. She shook her head. "It wasn't your fault." "But it still hurts me," he said. She looked up at him. No one had ever said that before. "Why?" she whispered. "I'm not your kind. I'm not even whole." Ryan answered without pause. "You're alive. That's all I need." She didn't speak. She just stared at him, like she was trying to decide if this man was real. Then, slowly, her body relaxed. Her shoulders dropped. Her hands stopped shaking. "Ryan," she said, double quotes, "yes. You were the first face I saw. After death forgot me." He gave a small smile. "Then I guess I stole you from the vultures." She smiled too, weak but real. And in that moment, her truth wasn't a curse anymore. Because someone finally saw her, not as broken, but as worth saving. It started with a single knock, then another hard. Angry, demanding. Ryan opened the door and found 3 men standing outside. Dust-covered, armed, and with faces like stone. "You've got something that doesn't belong here," the tallest. One said. Ryan didn't blink. "I've got a broken engine, an old kettle, and a few bolts. Take your pick." The man stepped forward. "We heard the rumors. You picked up something. Alien, female, and alive." Ryan didn't answer. Behind him, inside the shelter, Vila listened. She was standing now, weak, but stronger than before. She had just taken her first full steps in days, but when she heard those voices, her knees almost buckled again. Not again, she thought. She backed into the corner. Her hands trembled. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. Ryan stood tall in the doorway. "She's not a thing," he said. "Her name is Vila." The man laughed. "I don't care if her name is Queen of Stars. We don't need that kind of trouble in our town." Ryan crossed his arms. "She hasn't hurt anyone. She doesn't have to. What if others come looking for her? What if she brings disease? What if she snaps and turns on you?" The third man said, spitting on the ground. Ryan's voice turned sharp. "You're afraid of a starving woman who can't even lift a stick." The leader's face turned red. "We're giving you a choice, Ryan. Send her away or leave with her." "But she doesn't stay." Silence. Ryan didn't even hesitate. "I'll pack my things." The men looked surprised. "You'd give up your home for her?" one of them asked. Ryan looked them in the eye. "You gave me your answer. Now here's mine." He closed the door on their faces. Inside, Vila stood frozen. You're leaving because of me?" she asked, voice trembling. Ryan walked to the back room and began packing supplies, tools, water, food, medicine. "You're not the reason I'm leaving," he said. She frowned. "Then why?" "I'm leaving because I'd rather walk into the wild with you than stay in a place where kindness dies." She stared at him, shocked. "You believe in me that much?" Ryan zipped the bag shut. "I don't need to believe in you, Vila. I see you. That's enough." Tears burned in her eyes. But this time, she didn't cry from pain. It was something else. Something she had never known before. Loyalty. That night, they left under the stars. The desert was cold again. But they had each other now. And for the first time, Vila didn't feel abandoned. She felt chosen. The stars watched in silence. Far from any village, Ryan and Vila lived in peace. A small metal shelter, some salvaged solar panels, and a fire pit. Under the open sky. Simple, quiet, safe, or so they thought. Vila was learning to smile again. She laughed shy and soft when Ryan told her stories from Earth. She even helped cook one evening, proud of how badly she burned the food. Ryan just laughed. Perfect. Tastes like real survival. For the first time she felt alive, but pieces of fragile thing, and monsters. Always remember where they threw their prey. It started with strange tracks in the sand. Ryan noticed them first deep, wide, with a strange curve. Not animal. Not scavenger. He checked the cameras near the ridge. 3 shadows had passed through. The night before, quiet, watching. He didn't tell Vila yet, but the next night, the firewood pile was scattered. Their signal beacon was smashed. The wind didn't do that. Then came the whisper through Vila's cum panel, a voice from the past. You're still breathing, little waste? Should have let the vultures finish you. Vila froze. Her skin went cold. That voice. Her brother. Ryan ran in when he heard the crash. Vila had dropped the panel. Her hands were shaking again, but this time not from weakness, from memory. They found me, she whispered. They're coming back. Ryan grabbed his weapon. Then let them. She stared at him, horrified. No, you don't understand. They're not coming to take me back. They're coming to kill you, Ryan finished. She nodded once. Eyes wide. That night, the stars vanished. Clouds rolled over the desert, hiding the moonlight. 3 figures moved through the dark, dressed in armor, cloaked in silence. Family in blood, but not in heart. The same ones who had thrown her out, the same ones who had laughed as she begged for mercy. Now they carried blades and stun rods. She's with a human, one said. End them both. But this time she wasn't. Alone. Ryan stood at the edge of their camp, blaster in hand, eyes locked on the figures in the dark. You lost your chance to bury her, he called out. Walk away, one of them snarled. She's a stain. We're here to erase her. Then you'll have to erase me first. They charged, blades flashed, shots fired. Sand flew. Vila screamed Ryan's name, but he didn't fall. He moved like fire, fast, deadly, fearless. He fought not because she begged. He fought because he chose her. When the sand settled, 2 attackers lay groaning. One fled into the dark. Ryan stood breathing hard, a cut on his arm, dust on his face. He turned and found Vila standing, shaking. But standing. She ran to him. She didn't ask if he was okay. She didn't ask why he did it. She just held him tight. Because now she knew. He wasn't her savior. He was her shield. The fire crackled softly, but Vila didn't feel warm. She sat beside Ryan, who now rested with a stitched wound on his arm. She had cleaned it, wrapped it, watched him breathe, slow and steady. He fought for her. He bled for her. He nearly died for her. She looked down at her hands, once called useless, once meant only for burial. Now they were hands that healed. That chose, that held life. Outside the shelter, the desert was quiet again. The attackers were gone. But inside her heart, something louder had awakened. Not fear, not sadness. Love. Real, simple, fierce. She turned to Ryan, who opened one eye and smiled. You're still here, he whispered. I will be, she said. For how long? He asked, half joking. She didn't laugh. She leaned closer and said, clear and honest, for as long as you'll have me. He sat up slowly. Vila, I didn't just save your life. You saved mine too. She blinked. What do you mean? He Looked around the shelter. This place, this life, it was quiet. But empty. I was surviving, not living, until you. He reached out, took her hand gently. You gave me something to protect. Something to believe in. She smiled softly. Then, she whispered, then let me give you something more. She knelt down not in shame, but in strength, and placed his hand over her heart. My life, she said. My heart, my future. All yours, if you'll take it. He pulled her up slowly and wrapped her in his arms. I already did, he said. Years later, travelers in the wasteland spoke of a strange pair, a human man with old gear and a sharp aim, and a tall, beautiful alien woman with fierce eyes and a soft smile only he could bring out. They lived on the edge of the world. Together. No longer abandoned. No longer alone. Not broken. Just whole. Together.